Kharkiv. It's 12:44 p.m. and we have aviation strike.
For weeks, bombs have rained down on the city of Kharkiv in northeastern Ukraine. Russian rockets and deadly cluster bombs have killed hundreds of civilians in the city since the invasion began. And emergency crews are still working to uncover bodies from the rubble. There's fresh blood on the ground when Alexei Zavrozny stepped out of his apartment to investigate the destruction.
We just had a bomb strike here. So as you can see, a lot of blood, and just to compare, this is my leg. It's huge bomb.
This man witnessed the attack that killed a woman who was on her way to a store.
Женщине оторвало 2 ноги постовиком.
2 more Grad missiles fell in a children's playground nearby.
And I personally walked there with my 8-month-old daughter. And as you can see, there is no military objects except of this one.
Kharkiv is the second largest city in Ukraine. Nearly 1.5 million people called this place home. But after weeks of relentless shelling by Russian forces, the city lies in ruin. Its residents desperate to escape.
Oh, it's close.
For 8 days, Alexei and his wife and young daughter have been hiding out in their apartment.
Alright, so it's Wednesday, March 2nd, 2:28 p.m. and we are packing our stuff. We decided to leave Kharkiv tomorrow morning. We will just drive on our car to the central Ukraine. We have friends there, and we're doing that with some sort of panic, but not a complete panic. And the only thing that I want is to make this little sweetheart to never remember these days.
They join hundreds of thousands of others who have fled the besieged city. As cars line up along the highway to fill their tanks for the long journey west, Roman Tropin drives against the flow of traffic. He makes the 2.5-hour drive from Dnipro to Kharkiv a few times a week, carrying with him much-needed medical supplies and food.
Большая проблема – нехватка в детском питании, в памперсах. Передаем это на волонтерские центры Харькова, в больницы Харькова. А оттуда эвакуируем людей. Большое количество мирного населения сейчас не могут покинуть Харьков.
With most stores and services shuttered, the supplies brought in from out of town have become a lifeline for people trapped in Kharkiv. This school has been turned into an emergency supply center.
Сидеть, ждать, смотреть на то, как россияне убивают наших людей, это как бы невозможно. Стараемся помогать как можем.
Roman is on a military reserve list, awaiting the call to fight. So he, along with 20 or so friends, banded together to deliver humanitarian aid to Kharkiv and other hard-hit regions, even paying for gas and supplies out of their own pocket.
Сейчас мы возвращаемся на точку сбора людей и будем забирать людей, которые требуют эвакуации из Харькова в Днепр.
There he meets 2 families eager to remove their children from the war zone. Evgenia Kozlova and her 2 daughters spent 10 days underground in a bomb shelter before finally finding a ride out of the city.
Честно вам говорю, страшно, очень страшно. Там, где мы были, расстрелянные дома, жители без домов сидят, все рушится. Дома осталось все. Живность, звери, собаки. Хочется очень домой, и хочется очень, чтобы прекратилось это все.
Now they head west, uncertain of what lies ahead for them. Among many Ukrainians, there's a sense of bewilderment. While many thought a conflict with Russia could indeed happen, in Kharkiv, the reality is far worse than anything they could have imagined.
Потому как до сих пор мозг не хочет верить, что идет война, и что умирает такое количество людей, и что рушатся фактически целые города сейчас бомбятся, и люди остаются без крыши над головой, без дома. Большинство из них имеют с собой только чемоданчик там, или портфель с вещами первой необходимости. И у всех один вопрос, как они будут дальше жить, где будут жить. Очень тяжело это видеть, это воспринимать.
So far, Roman's home of Dnipro has largely been spared. Before the war, he worked as a lawyer and had his hands full with 2 young boys and a newborn daughter. When the invasion began, his wife and kids went to stay with relatives near the Hungarian border. For him, though, staying behind was never a question.
Людям, если я могу помочь людям, то это надо делать. И сейчас каждый украинец, он чувствует это, и каждый, кто что может, тот и делает. Как только будет открыт опять набор в армию, я сразу пойду в армию и буду защищать нашу страну с оружием, как это положено. Но на данный момент, пока я состою в резерве, я буду делать то, что я могу сделать для того, чтобы помочь максимальному количеству людей.
She just can't stay without moving for a minute.
That's the house where we are living.
After a 13-hour drive, Alexei and his family have now made it safely to Kremenchuk in central Ukraine.
It's really beautiful sunset here. How are you doing, young lady? Are you fine?
Meanwhile, in Kharkiv, the nightly shelling has intensified. Russian forces continue to bombard civilian areas of the city, leaving emergency crews scrambling to put out the flames. Despite the devastation, Alexei says Ukrainians remain confident they will win this war. And when they do, he'll be returning home to rebuild.
Almost everybody in Ukraine, I believe more than 98% of people united in one community, in one family. That's how it looks right now. That's how it feels right now. Yeah, a lot of people scared, really scared. The things that makes us scared and afraid, they make us powerful and more united.